If you own rental property in Canada and are about to become a non-resident or currently are a non-resident or going to become an agent for a non-resident, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you a step-by-step process on how I signed up for the non-resident tax number, became an agent, and start making the non-resident tax payments. This is not tax or legal advice. You should talk to your accountant or your lawyer if you want to get more information about that. This is just informational purposes only, and I'm just showing you how I did it, so then hopefully it helps you file your taxes as well. Just so you're aware, it's going to actually take you a few months to complete this entire process. So I've actually broken down the video into different chapters so you can come back and watch the chapter that you're on. Another thing that you should note is that if you're going to become an agent for a non-resident, make sure you trust them 100%. If you don't do it, because if the non-resident does not pay their taxes, guess who's on the hook? You are. So be very careful and selective on who you pick to become a representative for, because you can get into tax trouble if your non-resident stops paying their taxes. So now let's get to the first part of the video. So we are logged in to your CRA personal account, and first thing you'll need to do is go to More Services, open a non-resident tax account. Basically, you should read this before you begin. In this case, we're going to start here, and we're going to be the withholding agent. Next. My information will pop up here. You need to put in the phone number for yourself. It says optional, but I spoke to the agent, and the agent said the more information we have, the better. Scroll down. No, it's the same mailing address. Click next. So enter income information. You're going to be doing gross rents from real property. Gross rents from real property. Scroll down. Now I'm going to add the property. So you need to put in the postal code of the property. Click search. So this is the property. So I'm going to add in the apartment number. You actually do need the actual number. So the more information, again, the better, even though it says that it's optional. The name of the non-resident. The type of non-resident is individual in this case. And then their SIN number. Again, it's better to actually put the SIN number just so that if there is any issues, then the CRA can actually find the right person. So we're going to input the SIN number in here. I'm going to scroll down. So the rental start date. So I'm going to just put January 1st. Payment frequency is going to be monthly. The gross income for this property, I've already calculated, but it's basically a rent multiplied by 12, and the percentage ownership. So this person owns 100% of this property. So I'm going to add that property. So then you'll see that the property is registered here. Since this person has another property, I'm going to add another property here. So add in the postal code, apartment number, name of the individual, and then put in this social insurance number again. Rental start date, due from the 1st, payment frequencies monthly, and then the rent from this property, annualized, and 100% ownership. Add that property. So now you have the two properties. Well, in this case, I had two properties for this individual. So you can click next. And then the payment starts dates. We're going to start from February. They're going to be a monthly payment. Click next. Review. So I'm the withholding agent. It's my name, address, phone number. This information seems all correct. I confirm the information above is correct. And then I'm going to submit. And then it says successfully registered a non-resident tax account. The non-resident tax number is this number here. So this number is what you need to have. And I guess you can save this information. So I'm going to save this. And that's it for now. So I filed for the non-resident tax number on January 11th, 2023. And on January the 19th, I received this letter. So this is the letter that basically confirms from Revenue Canada in paper form that I did get the account number set up properly. It also states on here that I must remit the tax deducted by the 15th of the month following the month you paid. So basically, January rent, the tax is due by the 15th of February. And February rent is due on the 15th of March, and so forth. So you must make your payment every single month. So it's very important that you keep these schedules, or you will be charged interest or a late payment fee. So make sure that you do follow these deductions. Also on this letter, you can see that it states the information in that's on the account. Make sure this information is correct. So here it said the income is timber royalties, and obviously that's not correct. It should be rental income. But I did call Revenue Canada and talk to the representative there, and he said, "Don't worry about this. This is just this is in the same category as rental income, so you can just leave that as is. It's not incorrect, so you don't have to actually phone them if you see this on your form." The next page is your remittance form. So it basically tells you how you can remit your payment. So there's a couple of ways. So you can remit it online at CRA My Payment. I can show you how to do that in the section to follow. By wire transfer services, you can just go to your bank and pay a wire transfer. In person, you can bring this remittance voucher to any bank, and you can pay this in person. Or you can pay by completing this form, this remittance form, and then mailing it out to the Receiver General, which is the tax department in Canada. Or you can set it up by pre-authorized debit online as well. So I'm going to show you how to do this as well, because I personally like to make things easy and automatic. So I'm going to set it up with pre-authorized debit payment. So on the last page, you can see the information of who you need to contact in regards to get some more information, or if you have any questions that you need answered, you would call this number 1-855-284-5946 here, and you can speak to one of the representatives to get your questions answered. So that's it for this section. You'll get this letter in the mail. Once you have received this letter, you can make your payments, based on whatever method you prefer to do. In the next sections, I'll show you how to set up the different payments and make the payments. So in this section, what I'm going to show you how to do is fill out the NR6 form. And what the NR6 form does is it reduces your remittance amount from the gross 25% of the gross rents to 25% of the net income. So you're going to have a significantly less remittance amount if you do get this approved. And the thing is, you cannot start paying this amount until the NR6 is approved. And you'll be getting something in the mail stating that it's been approved or rejected. But, I'll show you that once we do receive it. But for now, I'll show you how to fill out this form to make the submission. So first thing we're going to have to do is get the form. You can just simply Google it. And it'll bring you to the Revenue Canada website, so we can open it. All right, so let's get started on this form. So first things first, fill in the tax year. So for the tax year is 2023. And then we're going to put the last name of the non-resident, and then the first name of the non-residents. And then we put the address of the non-resident. So I'm going to put this client is in the States. So I'm going to put their information in here. And their phone number. All right, and then care of the mailing address. So if it's different than this one, I'm going to actually put my information here. And then I'm going to actually put my address for my office. All right, so the social insurance number of the individual, you'll need this information so that they can match up the account. And then the person's birth date. And then if it's Canadian corporation, trust, or a state account number, you can put that information in here. And this is the fiscal year ending for the corporation. So this information you don't have to fill out unless it is for a corporation, trust, or estate. In this section, you put the year and the month that the first rental payment was due. So this first rental payment was due on January 2023. So you put that date there. So in section 2, now you're going to fill in the property information. So I'm going to put the address of the first property. And then put the city, postal code. I'm going to come back to the gross rent, total expense, and the net income after, because I do have a worksheet that I'll fill out to get this information. So I'm going to put in the second property because there's actually two. This person has two properties. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to come back to this section here. Undertaking by the residents. So this is where the non-resident person signs. This is where you put the name of the representative. So that's me. And this is the date. The date format. I'll put the date. So the date format needs to be in the year, month, day. Section 4 is where I actually put my information. So in this section, I'm going to actually put my personal mailing address. And then my phone number. And this is where I put the non-resident tax number that I received online or in the mail. So other CRA identifying number, I just leave it blank. In this final section is where I actually put in my signature. If you read here, it says, I, the undersigned, declare that I am a Canadian agent of the non-resident indicated in section 1. If the non-resident does not file an income tax return or pay tax accordingly to the undertaking, I understand that I will have to pay to the Receiver General for Canada the full amount of tax that would otherwise have been required to be remitted for the year, as well as applicable penalty and interest charges. So this is actually a pretty big responsibility. Make sure that you only work with people that you trust, because if they're not paying their taxes, you're going to be on the hook for it. So in this last section here, I'm going to put my name. And now let's get into the calculation on how we calculate the gross rent, the total expenses, and the net income. So this is the worksheet that I created that I'm going to attach to the NR6 when I send it in. Basically, I'll quickly go over it. So the income, I took the yearly rent and then multiplied it by 12. The expenses, so I broke it down to management fees. I don't pay any management fees. Some people do if they have a property manager managing their property. So you put the yearly management fee, the HST for that, the tenant placement fee, This is a fee for the real estate agent. Typically, it's 1 month's rent. So I put that in here. You can write that off with the HST. Accounting fee, I put in $150. I took the monthly maintenance fee and I multiplied it by 12 to get the maintenance fee. The property tax, for this property, I actually didn't have the actual property tax assessment because it's a brand new property. So what I did was I actually found out the assessed value of the property. I did this by calling 311, and I'm basically multiplying it by this year's tax rate. And you can get this year's tax rate from the website. So if you go to the Toronto City property tax page, you can click on property tax and rates and fees, and then it's this residential tax rate right here, 0.631933. That's for 2022. So I'm actually just going to use that number and multiply the current assessed value by the tax rate, and then I get 2,496.14. The mortgage interest, I basically took the principal balance, because again, this one I didn't actually have a mortgage statement for. I took the principal balance of the mortgage and I just multiplied it by the current interest rate. This is on a variable rate, so then I used 5.35% to get this number. Insurance, I put in the yearly insurance cost here. Miscellaneous and repairs, I just throw in $300, and I put $100 for travel expense, gas, and things like that if you had to go and service the property. So the total expenses is $35,011.93. You can see that there is a loss of $8,611.93. And then the non-resident tax per month is negative. So actually, it should be zero. So in the other property, there was actually a profit being made. So this would have been the resident tax payment. Actually, this should be per year. If you actually divided it per month, it would just be this number divided by 12. So we'll work that out here. Okay, change the formatting. So if I just had this property, I would be required to submit $167.97. Again, once this NR6 is approved, these are the numbers I would be paying. So basically, I wouldn't be paying any tax for this property based on the numbers that I've calculated, and if this NR6 gets approved. Don't be too concerned about getting the exact numbers, because you will have an opportunity when you file your taxes at the end of the year to readjust the numbers and put the actual numbers. So don't be too concerned about that at this point. Now we have all the numbers in place. We can finalize and fill out the form. So I've already filled in these numbers into the form. So you can see that the gross rent for this property was $30,000. I put it in here. The gross rent for this property was $26,400. So I put it in here. I added those numbers together and I got $56,400. I did the same with the expenses. So I took the total expenses, put it in here. Took the total expenses for this property, put it in here. Added them together, got $56,949.69. And then I put the net income for this property here. This number, I wasn't able to actually put in a negative number. So I actually had to, use a text field, and I had to type this text in here. You can tell that the number is different, but from the form, you can actually put a negative number. So you'll actually have to do what I did and put in an actual text field into the form, so then you can calculate a negative number. So what I'm going to do now is get the signature of the non-resident on here, and also I'm going to sign this section here because I am the agent. I'll just put in today's date. And then I'm going to print out this form along with this worksheet. All right. And then there's two ways to send this to Revenue Canada. So you can, send it by mail to Revenue Canada at this address here, or you can send it through fax. So there's these two fax numbers. Again, if you're outside of Canada and the US, you would send it to this number. If you're within Canada and the US, you would send it to this number. So since I don't have a fax machine, I'm just going to mail this out to Revenue Canada, and hopefully they approve it. And once it's approved, then I can start making the reduced payments instead of paying 25% of the gross revenues for my remittances. So I'm going to have to wait for that to come, and I'll show you that in the next section of the video. So let's make a payment. First off, what we need to determine is how much we need to pay. So based on the numbers of the example that I'm showing you, so $56,400 is the yearly rent. I'm going to divide by 12 to get the monthly number, so $4,700 a month. And I'm going to take 25% of this, which is $1,175. So now let's make a payment. So what you need to do is you need to search CRA My Payment. When you get to the My Payment page, so you click on Pay Now, and then you scroll down to Non-Resident Withholding Tax, and you're going to pay a regular remittance. And you're going to stick in your account number here. So that's your NR number. And we're paying for the period ending January 2023. And the amount we're going to be paying is $1,175. And then you click Next. Confirm and proceed. Pay now. I'm going to be paying by Interact. Go to online banking. So if you don't see your bank on this option here or in this section here, you can always go to the bank directly and make the payment. Or there are some other options that you can see on the CRA page where you can set up a pre-authorized debit through your My Business account, or you can pay through some third-party services as well. I'm not going to get into those details because most of you will probably already have one of these major banks. So we're going to just continue to work with this. So I'm going to select the bank, enter in my information, sign into the account. Select the account that I want to take it off of. So this is the account that I want to take it from. Push continue. Confirm the payment. Takes a little bit to make the payment go through, and then now we're done. As you can see, the transaction has gone through. Now I'm going to save this. So I'm going to save this now into my system. So I'm going to save this into my system and end the session. And that's it. Now let's set up the pre-authorized debit so that the monthly payments come out every single month. All right, so in your CRA, you can click Accounts and Payments, Manage Pre-Authorized Debits, and then you're going to click on here, Schedule Payments, and you'll start. And we're doing a non-resident withholding tax. It's going to be a regular remittance. We're going to stick in the non-resident tax number. We're going to do it monthly. A number of payments. You can set for how many number of payments you want. So we'll just do, let's just say we're going to do 12. And then the amount per payment is, I'm just going to set it for the 25% of the gross. The first payment is going to be taken out. So if I put an earlier date, it's not going to actually allow me to, because it must be between 5 business days and up to 1 year in advance. So let's put starting from May. So let's do May the 12th so that it's in there before the 15th. And then I'm going to enter the banking information. So I can enter new banking information. If you actually have a personal check, if you look at the check, the first 5 digits here are your branch number, financial institution, and then your account number. So I'm going to fill in the information with my check here. So once that's filled out, I'm going to click Next. It's going to ask me to review the information. Once I'm happy with it, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I authorize, and then click submit. And now you've successfully created the automatic payments. And in this case, I'm going to actually go back and cancel this. Because I don't actually want these payments to come out. Okay, so I just canceled it. So in my case, I just showed you how to cancel it in case you don't want the pre-authorized payments to go through. But if you wanted it to go through, obviously you don't cancel it and it'll come out automatically on the dates that you specified. So I finally received my NR6 approval letter. Actually called CRA because it was taking so long and I didn't know what was going on. They told me over the phone that it was approved and the letter would be in the mail shortly. I actually didn't get it until the 14th. You can see that the date it was issued was on the 4th of April. But it took another 10 days to get to me. It was probably because it was a Easter long weekend, so that's probably what held it up. But now I have the approval in place. Because I have a negative balance, I actually don't have to make any remittances to the CRA for the non-resident taxes. If there was a balance that was owing and it was a positive number, then you would just follow the procedures to set up the monthly payments as a pre-authorized payment, or you would have to make them regularly every single month before the 15th of the month for the following month. So in my case, though, the easiest way to do this is just to call the CRA. You can call, if you're in Canada or the US, this number here. If you're outside, you can call this number here. And you would call them and tell them that there is no remittances owing, and they'll actually make a note on the file stating that you don't actually have to pay any of the non-resident taxes for the rest of the year. So that's the easiest way to do it. They apparently don't have this set up online yet. So the only way right now, the way to do it is to just call them on the phone. And they picked up pretty quickly if you call them in the morning. So just get that done. It's super easy to do. There's actually another way to report the nil remittance. You can call the 1-866-971-4644. And if you talk to someone there, actually I've never tried this method before, but if you call there, you can also let them know that there is a nil remittance. I think it might be an automated system, but again, I don't know because I haven't tried that method, but you can try it out yourself. One important final thing to note for the NR6 is that you should file this in December, so that you get your approvals for January. So then your January payment, which is due on February the 15th, is the reduced amount and not the 25% of the gross amount. One of the reasons why my application was delayed, and this is according to the CRA agent, he said that they put priority on the December NR6 filings first so that they can get them all out for January. So then, those people that have submitted on time get their approvals for their February 15th payment. So make sure that you do this. Otherwise, you're going to have to do 25% of the gross, like I did in our example. And then once you get the approval, you can start paying the reduced amount. So the final thing you're going to need to know is that at the end of the year, during tax season now, the non-resident is going to have to file their taxes. So you're going to have to talk to an accountant, and they're going to have to get them to file their taxes for them. And any adjustments that need to be made will be made at that time, because now you'll actually have the actual numbers. So when you have the actual numbers, the accountant will do their thing and make the adjustments. And if there's money to be owed, like in my case, where I've actually paid the non-residents taxes twice already when I didn't have to, they were actually going to return that money to the non-resident. If you didn't pay enough taxes, then obviously you're going to have to pay more. So that's going to happen during the tax season. So that's the last thing that you're going to actually need to know about this process. If you found the video helpful and useful to you, hit the like and the subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. I try to respond to all the comments as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.